Hey guys, I'm Koko. Today I'd like to share with you a couple of tips on how to survive the aftermath. As always, with videos like this, there might be spoilers ahead, so you've been warned. Now, without further ado, let's jump right in. When you first start your colony, your first building should always be a water well, because surprise surprise, your people do not really enjoy dehydration. So, always start with water wells, because otherwise your people shall start dying for water problems. And what you should really keep your eye on is your water consumption, and always have a positive balance with quite a lot of extra storage. That is something that is one of the most important things in this game, is keeping your hydration going. And make sure not to build wells too close to each other, otherwise they will overlap their circles and will not get you as much water as you would like. Now later down the line you get new research to make deeper wells so you can pump more, but that is not something you should be really looking forward to, because, you know, just normal wells, as long as you build enough of them, will do you good. Now, when I say, hey, have extra water, really have extra water, because some disasters like the heat waves will drain your water extra amounts of water, so you should always keep an eye on that and have some extra for your poor people. You don't want them dying from dehydration, now do you? Next, I would like to talk about another very important thing, your carriers. Now, carriers, like the name suggests, they don't just carry stuff around. They also build your roads, build your buildings. They go out there if you have any food storage buildings and stockpile buildings, having work areas out there. They will go out there and they will pick up stuff over there. So carriers actually keep your colony going. Now, unlike in Banish, which this game is very similar to, carriers, people who don't have anything to do in, let's say, a sawmill, if they don't have a forest over there, they won't automatically become carriers. You will have to unassign them. So, work rotation, very important. Right now, I feel like, hey, I don't need anybody in the stand. There's nobody being treated on. I should definitely take this lady out. She can become a carrier, and whenever we need it, we can bring her back in here and have her work again. So, carriers, very important. Keep the work rotation going. Speaking of worker rotation, your farms are one of the biggest areas where you could save some workforce. So for instance, we can look at this medium field over here. You can see it is currently growing. The thing is, you only need workers in here when they're planting and when they're harvesting. Otherwise, you can just take them out, and this is gonna grow until it's 100%. Then you can assign your 2 people back in here and they will go grab the resources from there. But until then, they can just work as carriers. Now also, farms produce your only pretty much free commodity in this game, a free resource, which is food. You should have as many farms as possible, keep them going, because let's say 2 people can operate this field, plant it, and then go to another field, plant that one, plant a 3rd field, and then go to the first one and harvest it, and then rotate through that, because that way you can stockpile a ton of food and then you can use food as trade. Of course, you should also build your trade center, because that is going to encourage more traders to come, and then you can use your hard-earned food that you should be stockpiling to trade with this guy. Speaking of food and stockpiling it for trade and for your people, there is a very easy way to double all of your food. It's called Cookhouses. You need to do some research to get them, but basically you can use 5 raw food and 2 logs to turn all of that into 10 food. Now, of course, if you have a lot of farms, you'll probably doing vegetable meals, veggie meals. You just take, I don't know, 5 corn and a log, and you turn that into 10 food, which is great. Later down the line, you can also unlock mess halls, which allows more people to work in here. And you know, that could be more productive, but it's gonna cost you quite a lot of research points, so maybe it's not that necessary. But otherwise, a cookhouse should be one of the first priorities when you go researching, because it's gonna easily double all the food you produce and keep you going. Of course, you can't trade all of that sweet food you stockpiled if you do not rebuild the gates. So rebuilding the gates should come quite fast, because that is going to allow you to get more people that will want to join your colony. But do not be afraid to turn people away, especially people that have groups with more kids than adults. Kids, sure, you know, future they're the future. Sure, they are, but they can't work for quite a while. And if you don't have a school, they will also grow up uneducated, and they will be worse workers than otherwise. So don't be afraid to turn people away. Of course, having specialists, it's important, because specialists will go and they will scout your map, and you will get some resources that you can't otherwise get, like research from the world map. But still, think twice about grabbing a big group of people that have a lot of kids and you don't have a food to feed them all. As I mentioned, some resources can be only gotten from the world map, like research and, let's say, components. So, as you would expect, since this is post-apocalypse, resource management is extremely important for your colony, and I can't stress that enough. Now, you think, for instance, stuff like metal would be common, but no. Metal is one of the actually more of the precious and rarest commodities. There's only a finite amount of them that you can scrap from the map, and I would advise you, especially if you're playing on higher difficulties, to not turn the precious metal into tools. Tools take a lot of metal to be made. I think it's 2 metal into 1 tool, and your people will use them really, like, a lot. They will use them fast and a lot, and you won't be able to keep up with the production. Almost no way to do it. Now, the amount of metal you can find on a world map is also usually not that big, so I would say save your metal. Yes, your people will work 33% slower if they don't have tools, but if you have your colony well organized, that should not be a problem. You're better off saving metal for something else. At least that is how it stands right now. This is, of course, early access, and things might change. Also, on side note, you can have full burial pits and you can just scrap them, demolish them, and it's not going to be a problem. Another important resource that you can't produce is of course the medicine. You can trade for them, you can find them on the world map, and there's a couple of different medicines that are used for different stuff. So look over here, you have the normal medicine that is used for injuries, for healing people up when they have, like, I don't know, broken bones or whatever. You have iodine pills. These help with radiation sickness. If your people are around too many radiation puddles for too long, they might get sick, so use those iodine pills to heal them. And of course, antibiotics will help with stuff like pandemics that might happen to your colonists. So always try to stockpile on all of these if you have traders coming offering these. Iodine pills, so far I've seen them to be the rarest, and there's a good chance your people will wander around the map and get radiation sickness, so having those is quite important, I would say. As I mentioned before, radiation puddles, the nuclear waste on the ground, will make your people sick. So, good thing is, there is ways to deal with this. Now, first and the easiest way to do it is, when you start your new colony, just try to attempt not to build around too many of these, and try to make sure that your people do not walk over them when they go to gather resources out there in the distance. You can try placing your pads down or something like that to avoid them, but still, chances are they will get sick occasionally. Now then, it comes in the environmental station, which you can get in the security, unlock hazmat engineering, and you can build that environmental station and send people out there to clear out the nuclear waste and just burn it away. And that will, of course, make them happier, because they don't need to get sick from this stuff again. Also, whenever there's a disaster happening, make sure to close down all of your gathering station. Just stop with the work area out there, so your people don't go out here and get hit by a lightning, or they get, I don't know, radiation sickness, or suffer from a heat wave or something like that. And chances are, before they get back here to get healed, they will already die. So that would be my suggestion. Just close it while the catastrophe is going on. But from time to time, and through catastrophes, your people will get sick. There's no way to avoid that. It will just happen. So you need medical tents, and you would probably want to have a bunch. Now later down the line, of course, you can also unlock field hospital. That is more efficient and it heals faster, but your people, they're not the smartest, so if there's tents out there, they will go for tents. The thing actually is, if you have a tent, nobody working there, it is not considered to be like just a closed down building. If a person is sick, they will still go in here and wait until the doctor comes. So what you should really do is have a bunch of these tents, enough so when catastrophe strikes and you can kill all the mass people that will be there, and just unassign people. The game will tell you when somebody is sick or injured or anything bad happened to them. It will tell you over here. That person will go into one of the tents and then just assign a doctor to heal them up. Last but not the least, I would like to talk about a certain key binding that will help you plan your colony a bit more. If you press F11, you get to see some new stuff. This is something that the game doesn't really tell you about. But over here, you can now see in blue all the fertile lands where you should be placing your farms. You can see in lighter green, you can see normal lands, and then the yellow, you can see unfertile lands, something like that, dead lands. Of course, you can see some water over there as well. If you press F11 a couple more times, you get to see more stuff like pathing and things that I don't even know what they are. But yeah, that's a useful key binding that you should be using, especially early on when you plan, so you can see all the fertile field that, you know, otherwise might be covered by forest and you can't see it, might be covered by the nasty puddles, and this should help you. That concludes the tips I had prepared for today. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to share them with the community in the comments below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.